Let me take you back to the 6th of October 2018. Borussia Dortmund were trailing 1-0 against Augsburg with only a half hour left in the game, and that's when they decided to unleash their secret weapon, Paco Alcácer. In just 31 minutes of being on the pitch, Alcácer turned the game on its head. He scored a hat-trick, including a stunning free kick in the 96th minute, sealing a 4-3 victory for the black and yellow. But fast forward to the present day, and he's become a player that you haven't heard about in years. But what happened to the player who once set the Bundesliga on fire? Today, we examine the rise and fall of Paco Alcácer. Was his 2018 form just a fluke, or is there more to the story of the Spaniard's unfulfilled potential? Everything started in the Valencia Youth Academy. Alcácer was one of the region's brightest prospects. At the age of 17, he scored 27 goals in the 3rd division of Spanish football to make Valencia be champions. And entering the preseason of the 11-12 season, Paco was close to being ready for top-flight football. He had just scored an extra-time brace as a sub in the U19 Euro final, including the winning goal to make it 3-2 against Czechia. This boy was destined for great things, but his world came tumbling down just a couple weeks later. AS Roma had come to Valencia for a friendly tournament match, and the game couldn't have gone better for Paco. He scored his first goal at the Mestalla Stadium, a huge moment for him. Valencia won 3-0 and his family was there to celebrate with him. But unfortunately, those trophy celebrations were cut short in the worst way possible. On the way out from the stadium, 17-year-old Alcácer witnessed his dad suffer a fatal heart attack and watched as paramedics unsuccessfully tried to revive him. But to everyone's surprise, just a handful of days later, Paco was back training with the Valencia squad. Football was his way to zone out, he said, his meditation in the midst of such hard times. Fortunately, the rest of his Valencia career was rather smooth sailing. He went on a loan spell at the Getafe for the 12-13 season, but he nailed a starting spot for Valencia the following season and became a decent La Liga striker. He even got his first cap for Spain in September of 2014 and scored 4 international goals that season. In 2015, he extended his contract at Valencia for another 5 seasons, and he even became captain at the age of 22. I mean, Gary Neville was the one who gave it to him, and we know how his managerial career went. But you know, sounds better for the story. So, Alcácer was a fan favorite, and he was the poster boy for Valencia homegrown talent. He was born and raised there, and fans were hoping he would be their Totti. But in the words of Kevin Prince Boateng, when Barca comes calling, you go.
Why did you decide to go then?
Barcelona.
Oh, if Barcelona calls you, what can you do?
And he did so, leaving a sour taste in most Valencia fans' mouths. This felt like a betrayal, leaving a loving fan base that took care of you through hard times for a spot on the Barca bench. It definitely wasn't an easy choice. The next step was trying to impress when a member of MSN got injured or even challenge Suarez for that starting spot up top. Despite playing well when given the chance, Paco struggled to secure a starting position at Barcelona. Luis Enrique liked to use Alcácer as a sub and he scored 8 goals that season. But everything changed when he stepped down as Barcelona manager. Ernesto Valverde came in and he implemented a 4-4-2. So that's great. Paco would finally get to start as a second striker, right? Not at all. Paco would only start 8 games in the La Liga the next season. Who played alongside Suarez as striker instead, you ask? No other than Lionel Messi. And whenever Suarez was injured, Messi played as a false 9. At that point, Alcácer realized that his Barcelona career was over and that he would never become a starter. Valverde didn't even trust Paco to start in Champions League matches. Ahead of his 3rd season at Barcelona, it seemed as though Munier would be the second choice striker for Valverde. It was time for a new start. And the rest is history. If you're not aware of some of the things that went down during his loan spell at Dortmund in 2018, let me throw out some stats. He finished the Bundesliga season as runner-up to the Golden Boot with 18 goals behind Lewandowski. But get this, out of the 26 games he took part in, he only started 11 of them. In fact, he scored 13 goals as a sub. 12 of those goals came in his first 11 league games, and 7 of them came in his first 127 minutes of playtime. That's a goal every 18 minutes. Paco was John Duran before John Duran. Add to that an iconic winning goal against the Giants Bayern, and you've already got a cult legend. This guy was the greatest super sub in football. He wasn't the perfect player, but he was scoring, so it didn't really matter. Triggering the buyout option was a no-brainer for Dortmund. Only 21 million euros for the second top scorer in the league. He continued his strong form, scoring 7 goals in his first 6 games of the 1920 season, including a crucial goal in the Super Cup win against Bayern. His market value soared to 50 million, a new high for him. Life was good. But as you know, when everything is going good, life is a way of throwing a curveball at you. Alcácer's form dramatically dropped off starting in late September. He only started once after the 22nd of September and failed to score in his next 14 games. A team challenging for the Bundesliga title understandably needed more stability in the striker position. The arrival of a certain Norwegian robot was the nail in the coffin, and Dortmund cashed in while Alcácer's stocks were still high, at 23 million euros to Villarreal. And unfortunately, the fairy tale seems to end here for now. The rest was a nightmare. He did score on his Villarreal debut, but over the following 2.5 seasons, he was a shell of the player he was at Dortmund. Unai Emery demoted him to Europa League striker, and he did get 6 goals in the 2021 trophy campaign, but unfortunately, that's the best you could say for him at Villarreal. As the 2022 summer transfer window opened, it was clear that Paco would move to a lower level of club football. Villarreal spent the whole window trying to offload him, and eventually Sharjah FC approached the club. This wasn't a Saudi league club. This was a club from the UAE. That's the only club that wanted a once €50 million player. To make things even more embarrassing, Villarreal and Sharjah originally agreed to a loan, but they changed their minds, cancelled the loan, and Villarreal fully terminated Alcácer's contract. They did that to be able to let him leave on a free so that they wouldn't have to pay his $100K a week salary. He was the second highest paid player at the whole club. In his first season in the Middle East, he managed a horrible 8 goals in 34 games across all comps. To put things into perspective, 33-year-olds Adel Tarabt and Andriy Yarmolenko scored more goals than 28-year-old. And just when you think Paco's career was at rock bottom, it gets worse. In September of 2023, Sharjah FC signed Moussa Marega, a tank striker from Al Hilal. Mind you, just a year later, he's in the second division of Saudi Arabian football right now. Yet, he managed to push Alcácer out of a starting spot and on loan to Emirates Football Club. Paco played alongside the greatest midfielder in history, Andres Iniesta. So surely he'll do better this season, right? He got 9 goals and a relegation to go along with it. Brother, getting relegated to the UAE League with Iniesta, that's just wild. All this brings us to ask a couple questions here. Paco's dramatic dip in form after a sensational season at Dortmund was confusing, to say the least. One season he's a super sub king, breaking Bundesliga records, and the next he's ghosting in every game. Was that incredible season just a purple patch? It's tempting to say yes, but let's dig deeper. When he first arrived, he was a big surprise to the whole league. Opponents didn't know how to handle his knack for last-minute heroics, but once the spotlight shone brighter and defense tightened, the magic seemed to fade. Injuries played a huge role. He wasn't a player that would miss 4 months out of the year with a big knee injury like Reece James. He just always had recurring fitness issues that disrupted his rhythm and confidence. Alcácer's game thrives on sharpness and instinct as a striker, both of which suffer when you're constantly battling to stay fit. I just think the Barca transfer and Enrique's departure really messed him up, as Valverde never really used him and tried to develop him as a player while he was there. His confidence was just never the same since. Look, we all love a comeback story, and Pac-Man has all the ingredients to craft one. He just needs the right platform and a bit of luck to reignite that spark. So here's hoping Paco finds his way back to the top, proving once and for all that his Dortmund days were just a trailer of the blockbuster he's capable of producing.